Hello, children. I'm going to read the next chapter of How Winston Delivered Christmas. Chapter 9, Mince Pies and Movies. Winston didn't have a chance to ask any more questions, as it was all he and George could do to try and keep up with Edna. She was waddling and fluttering as fast as she could go down Mistletoe Street and around the corner onto the large, busy road that cut a long, wiggly line through the city. I'm confused, Winston panted. How can Father Christmas be here? He should be in the North Pole, getting himself ready to set off. Aha, cried Edna. Should be, but what if he isn't? When you said about him being in the North Pole this evening, I thought that's strange, but didn't know why. Then I remembered he couldn't be in the North Pole because I'd seen him earlier. We both had, hadn't we, George? George didn't reply because he was too busy huffing and puffing and wafting his hot face with one of his wings. It didn't stop Edna, though. She carried on talking. Me and George don't fly about as much as we used to, do we, dear? Not at our age, but one thing we like to do is to go to the Empire, don't we, George? George had just about got his breath back enough to say, yes, the Empire. What's that? Asked Winston, feeling bamboozled. It's a movie picture house, you know, movies, talkies, the flicks. When the ticket man isn't looking, we sneak in. It's nice and warm in there and so dark nobody notices you. There's a bakery next door and we have a good feast on all the broken biscuits and cake crumbs out the back. Then we go in the cinema. I like looking at the pictures and George likes having a nice nap in the warm. Don't you, dear? George was asleep again. Winston had no idea what any of this had to do with Father Christmas and the North Pole, but he carried on listening as best he could. Edna had paused for breath and to get her bearings. Yes, this way, she cried, and started waddling and fluttering down the road again. Winston hurried after her, followed by George, who may or may not have been actually sleepwalking. We went there this morning, and that's where I saw him. Father Christmas, Edna continued. At the movies? Asked Winston, his eyes like saucers. No, said Edna. Outside, and with any luck, he'll still be there. And as she said that, she rounded a corner with Winston and George still tagging along behind her. They were now at a very busy intersection where several roads all came together. All around them were cinemas and restaurants and shops and theatres. Lots of people were milling about and bright lights glittered everywhere. Winston spotted the Empire Cinema building with its name written in huge letters, all picked out with electric light bulbs. Aha! Cried Edna all of a sudden. She sounded very pleased with herself. There he is! Winston squinted. He could see lots of people, but none of them were dressed in red with a big fluffy white beard. Where? Edna grinned beakily. Look up, she cooed. And that's the end of chapter 9. Right, you can look forward to the next chapter, which is called An Important Clue, tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody.